Again, my name is Gabe Zollner. You know what you might want to try to look up? Look up the word democracy. Well, I'll save you the trouble. The word democracy is a noun, and it's a system of government by the whole population or all of the eligible members of a state, typically through elected representatives. 2, a state governed in such a way. Now, you have to ask yourself a question. If that's the definition of democracy, how in the world can democracy be brought to countries that have lived under tyrannical rule for centuries? The reality is that it can't. And one would think that our senior elected officials, like the president and the vice president, and I'm not just referring to the clown that's in office now, you'd think that they would have known that. It is impossible to bring democracy to people that have never lived even closely to what it stands for. Now again, it's a system of government by the whole population or all the eligible members of a state. Well, when you've got a population like we have in the Middle East, where I'd say more than a third doesn't know how to read or write. Now, the majority of people in that part of the world are inbred. Yeah, go look it up. I think in Pakistan it's like 70-some-odd%. And they're nuclear. How does that make you feel? Now, and I've made previous videos on this. Inbreeding brings about over 2,000 various illnesses. One of them is mental retardation. So, how can you expect to bring democracy to countries where a greater majority of them are inbred, and a greater majority of those that are inbred probably are suffering from various degrees of mental retardation? You can't do it. So for our elected representatives to tell us the reason that they went into those countries like Iraq and like Pakistan and like wherever else they've gone into, like in Vietnam, is to bring about democracy. It cannot be made to work. And the reality is that they knew it because they're bright enough to have known it. So why'd they do it? That's a $64 million question. But I think there's reasons, and it all comes back to power and control. Now, as far as Obama was concerned, or is concerned, he inherited the mess that the Bushes got us into. But he's no different than all of the other previous presidents that also got the American people into conflicts of war to bring democracy into countries that they knew they could never, ever bring democracy to. It can't be done. And history has proven it over and over and over again. We lost, what, 55,000 men in Vietnam? For what? Did anything change? Absolutely not. How many men have we lost in the Iraq conflict? And women? Has anything changed? Do they have democracy there now? All they have is corruption. They have corruption. And it'll all revert right back to what it was before, as will any other country that America gets involved in with the pretext of trying to bring about democracy, like in Egypt. It can't be done. They've lived under a tyrannical structure for thousands of years. In Iraq, Saddam Hussein, as nuts as he was, he controlled not only Iraq, but Iran as well. And what did Bush do? He opened up Pandora's box. And what did Obama do in Egypt? The exact same thing. All under the pretext of trying to bring democracy into countries that you have absolutely no chance whatsoever in accomplishing. And the sad part is they all knew it, yet they still did it. We hardly have democracy in our own country, the United States of America. I don't believe that the whole population and or all eligible members of the state voted for this usurper. When you think about it, they would have to have been out of their minds to have re-elected him based on the carnage and the hardship that he's caused all of the entire world, including the American people, in his first 4 years in office. So, do we have democracy right here in America? I don't think so. And can we bring it to other countries? What for? Even if we could, if it's similar to what we have, are we doing them a favor? I don't think so. What do you think?